Swedish metal legends In Flames lured their ex-fans back in after a little kick in the butt from their own ex-band members. Amon Amarth continued their quest to conquer the metal throne, and Metallica continues reaping benefits from their collaboration with Netflix and fighting off gatekeepers.
Nothing new.
Yes, heavy metal is alive and well, and thus a lot is happening in its world. So as agreed, let's take a look at the first ever metal digest on the channel. Here you go. Every time Swedish melodic death metal pioneers In Flames announce new music, my eye, just like I'm sure the eyes of thousands of fans around the world, starts twitching. Because of fear that once a great and innovative metal band will once again release a new song, which will be as far away from metal as Machine Gun Kelly from good music. And this time around, when In Flames announced a new album and released the first single from it, which by the way happened around a month ago in case you missed it, was no different for me. But I'll be honest with you, when I heard the debut track from the new record the first time, I, in my head, thought that I accidentally clicked on something else. So I played it one more time, and then one more time, and then again and again, and so it actually stayed in my playlist for a couple of weeks to come on almost constant repeat. State of Slow Decay was like a breath of fresh air, on which the pioneers of the Gothenburg school of melodic death metal came back to their roots, yet brought some freshness and 21st century sound to their tune, basically giving their old-time fans, including myself, exactly what they wanted. And so the release of their second single from the upcoming record, The Great Deceiver, was like a moment of truth for all of the melodic death metal fans around the world. And time to figure out whether this was just an accident or the boys really returned to the world of metal. And it actually looks like the latter. The Great Deceiver is powerful and vigorous, and it of course features kick-ass guitar riffs for which In Flames were always famous. And on top of that, the band's vocalist Anders Frieden actually sounds like Anders Frieden, which to be honest with you, I haven't heard him do in quite a long time. So yeah, I know it is too early to say, but from the first two songs from the upcoming record, it does look like the boys stopped pretending that they have to play music for the crying teenagers and actually returned to their own roots. The question remains, why?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Some In Flames fans actually pointed out that it's rather strange that the band returned to the original melodic death metal sound the same year when another project, consisting of past and current band members from two of the greatest Gothenburg melodic death metal bands, and yeah, I'm talking about In Flames and Dark Tranquillity, called The Halo Effect, emerged and received enormous attention from the media and melodic death metal fans. And to be honest with you, in my personal opinion, The Halo Effect actually might be the best thing which happened to melodic death metal since its foundation. In case you missed that, the Halo Effect consists of Jesper Strombold, Peter Ivers, Daniel Svensson, Nicholas Englund, and nobody else but Mikael Stane, the current singer and the founder of the legendary Dark Tranquillity, and interestingly enough, the first singer of In Flames.
Now I see you standing over yourself. There in the silence, I see you rotting yourself with these are the hours.
And so yes, while some fans pointed out that it might be because of the enormous attention the media has dedicated to the Halo Effect that In Flames returned to their roots, in reality I don't think that this is the case, and I simply think that the reason for that is that now in 2022, when the boys are almost 50, they don't actually have to prove anything to anyone anymore, and they can actually play the music they love. By the way guys, this is the very first time we're doing this little metal digest thingy on the channel, so please do not hesitate to comment with any suggestions on how to improve it, whether you like this series or not, and whether we should continue it, and if we do, which bands and events we should be taking a look at, and just overall, any improvements and suggestions are welcome, as well as any commentary on what we're actually talking about here. Because you know, the whole point of this channel is of course to start a conversation. And yeah, in case you're wondering what Judas Priest is doing in this video, this is just a little reminder that our Defenders of Faith episode on the top 10 live Judas Priest songs will come out this week, and the listening pattern I found there is rather interesting, so make sure to not miss it. That's it, I think. Let's continue.
Chrissy, this is from you.
Metallica continues to ride the lightning and reaping the benefits of their ongoing collaboration with Netflix's Stranger Things, finding more and more new and creative ways to do so. Unless you've been living under the rock, which I personally do not mind because I do that from time to time, you might know that Metallica's Master of Puppets appearance in the season finale of Netflix's TV series Stranger Things did what Metallica was actually not able to do back in the 1980s when the song came out: bring it to Billboard Top 40. Bringing enormous attention to not only Metallica and their songs, but to the heavy metal community overall, which I personally think is a great thing. And of course, since then, Metallica has continued stirring the pot, posting a lot of cool things on their social media account, releasing a playthrough of the song together with Eddie Munson's scene, and this weekend even decided to invite the actor who played Eddie in the series to join them on one of the biggest US festivals, Lollapalooza. And after the festival ended, Metallica together with Netflix announced that they will be holding a very special Hellfire Club Maiden and released a limited series merch identical to the one appearing in the movie, yet with a slight change of a Metallica logo on top of it, which of course you can already purchase on metallicastore.com or on Netflix shop. Yet the main thing which I personally wanted to discuss is not really the appearance of the new Metallica merch, because it happens quite often, let's be honest here, but rather to point out that I personally see nothing bad in the increased attention to the heavy metal community that we've been receiving in the past 2 months since the scene came out. For years, all of us have been whining that heavy metal never gets the attention it deserves from mainstream world. Well, guess what? Now it does. In fact, it does so on an unprecedented scale, and not only Metallica, but also Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Wasp, and a lot of other bands, allowing young kids all across the world to discover this new music they never actually heard before because media never actually portrayed it right to them.
Music! We need music! This is music!
So instead of gatekeeping and keeping the doors to our community shut, let's be embracing and help those new kids explore the wonderful world of heavy metal, which maybe will encourage more and more people to pick up a guitar or whatever instrument they play and create music of their own, so that we do not have to complain that heavy metal will actually die with its founders. And on another note, this week was announced that Metallica is officially a top 5 touring artist of the past 40 years, not just in metal, overall. And if we do take a look at the ticket sales for many of the top metal bands, you know what? They're actually not lower than they were back in the 80s. So if you're thinking that heavy metal is dead, well, this is not exactly the case. And I actually have this feeling that rock and roll and heavy metal will be doing just fine. By the way, talking about touring and going to the concerts, although I am not able to do so because of the war in my country, most of you are. So if you would like to rock a Metal Pilgrim t-shirt at the next rock and roll show you go to, the link to the simple order form for 2 different designs will be in the pinned comment. The Metal Vikings Amon Amarth finally released their new studio record, The Great Heathen Army. On this record, Amon Amarth decided to not really deviate from the original formula and continue the theme they have been pursuing on the past several records. Of course, singing about historical and pseudo-historical Viking events. Overall, this record is actually very whole and cohesive. It is one of those albums which you kind of want to listen to from the start till the very end in one listen, yet at the same time it does feature several standout tracks, including this one.
You cannot block my path. Throw your arrows back the sun. I'll find a way or make war.
The boys did not really experiment on the sound that much on this record and continue pursuing the formula that has been working for them for the past several decades, getting them a wide army of supporters from all over the world. So if you are one of them, I am actually 100% sure that you will most likely enjoy the Great Heathen Army. If this this is the very first time you hear about Amon Amarth and you're a fan of an old school heavy metal, then the highlight of this record most likely would be the collaboration Amon Amarth did with the legends of heavy metal, Saxon, releasing a song the title for which most likely was the hardest thing to come up with. And I already can see how the guys have been thinking about this for days and weeks and months in the studio, how to name this track, until they came up with a perfect name for this song: Saxon and Viking. And here I just wanted to point out that the new wave of British heavy metal legend Biff Byford, in his 70s, after all the health issues and everything he's been through, sounds absolutely kick-ass on this track. Honestly, I have no idea how he does that, but he does have one of the most recognizable voices in the world of heavy metal. So even if you are not an Amon Amarth fan, I actually encourage you to check out this track just to hear it for yourself.
We need to bleed our land regain. A battle cry is England free and warm.
Overall, speaking about Amon Amarth, I feel like this is one of those bands that is so true to its original sound that the world rewards it with the constant inflow of new fans. And so yes, if someone would ask me which band is the most successful in conquering the heavy metal throne, I would most likely say Amon Amarth, who during their 30+ year long career have gained enormous popularity around the world without trying to please everyone around and staying true to who they actually are.
Stand tall and fight.
This is just a reminder that if you haven't written a comment on how to improve this series or whether we should continue doing it at all yet, now would be a perfect time to do so. So do it.
An Iron Maiden!
The legend, the myth, and the most rewarded pilot and fencer in the world of heavy metal, Bruce Dickinson, turns 64 today. So on behalf of all the metal pilgrims and especially those who follow the Up the Iron series, happy birthday, Bruce. We love you and you are a legend, and without you, one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all times most likely would never be where they are today. I think I speak on everyone's behalf that we truly hope that you will have many more successful years of producing new music and even more touring the world and jumping around the stage fighting Eddie and doing, what you do. And in order to celebrate Bruce's birthday, Iron Maiden themselves announced that they will actually be headlining the legendary Wacken Open Air in 2023, returning to the legendary and one of the biggest festivals in the world for the very first time since 2016, alongside with Megadeth, Dropkick Murphys, and many other bands who were already announced for the 2023 edition of Wacken.
Shut up and take my money!
The main question remains now is with which show will Iron Maiden join the Wacken Festival, and whether this will be a continuation of their Legacy of the Beast tour, or at that point they will come up with something new already, and who knows, maybe even treat the Wacken crowd with one of the deep cuts. And I think we all know which one we all want to hear.
Greece! What song do you want us to sing? Alexander the Great! You'll have to fucking wait!
Ozzy Osbourne continues promoting his upcoming studio record, Patient Number 9, and after he has already released 2 singles from the upcoming album, this week the Prince of Darkness also announced that he will release a special blue and yellow edition of Patient Number 9 on vinyl in support of Ukraine. So be like Ozzy Osbourne and don't forget that the war in the middle of Europe is still going on and there are people dying here every day. And on the other heavy metal news which happened this week is of course the release of the new album by Soulfly, which I'll be very honest with you, I was not able to finish. And not because it was bad, simply because I didn't have enough time to do so. So if you're one of those people who actually listened to the new Soulfly album, please do let us know what you personally thought about it. I am very curious to find out. As well as which upcoming albums you are actually interested in, and whether you think we should be talking about them in, one of these metal digests. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!